Do you know that to qualify the regulatory inspection with no observation, you need not to prepare for an audit? Do you know that? If you want to qualify any regulatory inspection with no observation, then you will have to be always ready to be inspected. You will have to act as if every day is audit. So for that, what one will have to do, that you have to ensure that in your organization each day everyone ensure that there should not be any non-compliance in the activities which he or she is performing. Then there is no need to prepare for an audit. And those days have gone when one used to prepare for an audit since long, at the last moment when audit is going to come. Now one should ensure that if any time any auditor comes, then the company should always be in the compliance that the regulatory authorities are expecting. In the blue ocean of compliance tips, I discussed the CGMP topics which are going to help you keep the discussed CGMP on your fingertips, and you will be able to imbibe all the concepts which are discussed in this blue ocean of compliance tips in your behavior, and your thinking, your thought process is going to change drastically. This is the blue ocean of compliance world where regulatory inspections should be handled in such a way that you will going to qualify the regulatory inspection effortlessly. Your thought process will become such that you will act as every day is audit. I am Dr. Rupali Paranspe, best-selling author of book Blue Ocean of Compliance, in which I have discussed very deep elements which are going to help you solve the problems of non-compliance. And in every week I record one message for you to qualify the regulatory inspection, for the preparation of the regulatory inspection in simple and effortless way. So do not forget to subscribe my YouTube channel so that you will not miss any of my message, and we shall start on the journey of blue ocean of compliance. Also like my channel and share with your friends also, so that they will also be able to be benefited from this talk. Of compliance tips, we are going to discuss return with respect to API manufacturing companies. So I would ask you one question, that how do you handle the returns, the material which is returned due to market complaint? So how do you handle that product, where you keep that product, and how you segregate that material and product in your warehouse? How do you help others to identify that this material should be treated differently? If you will think, you will say that whenever any return material comes, then we keep that material in quarantine area. Okay, so only keeping that return material in quarantine area is not sufficient. You will have to ensure that you should properly keep or paste one label with return message, right? Means you will have to make the label separately, where you will have to specify that it is return material, so that other will not treat it as normal quarantine product. This should be segregated from other quarantine materials, so that one can identify that this material is not only the quarantine material which is waiting for the results to come from the quality control department and it is going to be released, but one should know that this material is return material, and yes, it is kept for some specific reason and it is return material. Immediately when comes, so as per your company's procedure, you can paste the label on that material that it is returned, and you should always think that what will be its next stage. Means now the material has returned, but now you will also have to update your label that what is to be done with that material, whether this material is going to be reprocessed or this material is going to be returned to the manufacturer of that material. If you are not the manufacturing company and you are supplier or broker, in that case this is applicable, that how you will identify that material that it is going to be returned to the original manufacturer, so that condition will be applicable. And if you are the manufacturing company of API or that material, so you will have to label that whether it is going to be reprocessed again. So accordingly you will have to update the status on the label. This is one thing. With physical segregation, you should also update on your computer systems that this material management, that it is returned material, and on container obviously physical you will have to update the label. Another point, you will have to see that storage and shipping condition of the returned material. If the material is very stable, for example you have the stability data of accelerated condition for 6 months at 40 degrees Celsius, there is evidence that material is very stable. There is little concern about the quality. But if the material is not stable, then there should be the procedure of the disposition of the material. So if you take the decision that the material is not very stable, the quality of the material is such that it should not go back in the market, then you will have to ensure that there should be the procedure of the disposition of the material. In the procedure of disposition, you will have to ensure few topics like presence of the original seal, damage to the primary packing, and labeling of the material. So few things you will have to ensure. Now, when you will reach at the level of the decision where you will have to take the decision regarding the disposition. So disposition decision can be of the use that you are going to reprocess that material, you are going to rework on that material, and or you want to recover that material, you taste it and you will release it. And otherwise what can be that the material is going to be rejected and this is going to be disposed or destructed, right? These were the compliance tips of today, that you will have to handle the return material properly with the proper procedure, and during all these procedure you make ensure that all the process should be properly handled and documentation and traceability should be there. And if you are the broker, then you will have to ensure that from which manufacturer you have purchased that material, that you will have to ensure that who are agent, who are brokers, who are traders and repackers or relabelers, those have to ensure, because they will not be able to reprocess or rework on that material, so they have to take the decision to return material back to the manufacturer of that return material. These were today's blue ocean of compliance tips, and you have to ensure in your organization that return material should be handled properly. It should have the return procedure, means standard operating procedure should be there, and whether you will have to segregate that material from other quarantine material, you have to label it properly, you have to take the decisions based on the quality of the product, how the material has come from the transportation, where the storage condition of the material is in during that transportation, and there should not be any impact on the quality of the product, because we are serving the patients, and we have to ensure that the end user, means patient who is having our medicine, should be safe, secure, and that can be anyone from your family also and anyone in the world. So we have to make sure that the people who are consuming our medicinal products which we have manufactured should get justice, and they should get the good quality of the product. With this message, Dr. Rupali Paranspe signing out until we meet again in our blue ocean of compliance tips. And yes, do not forget to subscribe, like and share my YouTube channel, so that you will always be ready to be inspected. Thank you. If you are working in pharmaceutical industry, then knowledge of compliance is must, irrespective of which department you are working, where you are working. Compliance is nothing but the simple practices which should be followed on your side so that you will be able to manufacture the good quality of the product. And for any organization, manufacturing the good quality of the product is the key to become the successful. And audits are nothing but the new business opportunities. And don't think that you have to follow the compliance only to qualify the audits, but regular practices also you should follow the compliance. And you should able to think that we have to manufacture the good quality of the product, because who is end user of these pharmaceutical industry? Nothing but the patient. And patient can be anyone from your family, anyone can be my family, anyone in the world, but he or she is also the part of family of somebody. We should not always try to maintain the compliance and try to maintain the good practices on our side only to qualify the audit. This thought process is not going to help in long, because yes, now today's scenario, you must always be ready to be inspected, and that is the right approach. Because why anyone should come and audit our facility? Why can't we ourselves maintain our standards so high, and we should be able to attain the level of confidence so high that yes, we are manufacturing the good quality of medicine, and this medicine, our medicine, is going to heal the patient, and it is going to work on the patient so that he or she will be cured and will be healed. So why to prepare only for the audit? Why not to think the main purpose of our being? Why should we should not think the main purpose of pharmaceutical industry? Why this industry is formed? So if we will think like that, then we will not have to be audited anytime. We will think like this, that what is the main purpose of being the pharmaceutical industry, why this manufacturing industries were formed. We will not like the thought process that we have to prepare for the audit only when someone will come on our side, and that auditor will inspect our side. For them only we have to make the compliance, but the compliance and quality we have to maintain for the patient who is going to have our medicine. I am Dr. Rupali Paranspe, best-selling author of book Blue Ocean of Compliance, and today we are going to discuss the 5 R's of pharmaceutical industry. Do you know that what are the 5 R's of pharmaceutical industry? We should be handled very carefully so that the quality of your product will be good. Do you know those 5 R's? So let's discuss. First R is rejection. Another R is reprocessing. Third R is rework. Fourth R is recovery of the material or recovery of the solvents. And fifth R is return. Return we have already discussed in our previous session of Blue Ocean of Compliance tips, and I hope you might have heard that and you would have understood that, and you would have implemented the practices discussed in that session on your side. Remember that only knowing and not doing is not going to help you. You have to implement all the learnings of your life anywhere, in any of the area of your life. You have to implement the learning, only you will be able to get the results. Okay, now come to the point of discussion we are going to do today on today's topic. That today, whatever topics we are discussing for the API manufacturing companies. One thing we should remember, that whenever we are reprocessing or reworking any material, this should be different for API and intermediates, and different for formulations or drug products or drug mixtures, because since many years we are reprocessing and we are reworking on the solvents or materials or intermediates, and their purity is increased. right? To increase the purity of the material, we are applying different processes of reworking and reprocessing. But for drug products or drug mixtures, these may not work because the potency of the drug will decrease and bioavailability will also decrease. So these practices should be considered different for different things. Means for API manufacturing or APIs intermediates, the reprocessing reworking should be different, and for drug products it will be totally different. Now for a rejection, if any material is rejected on your site, for example intermediate is there, if you will apply the reworking or reprocessing on drug products or drug mixtures, it may be possible that the shelf life of that drug mixture or drug will be decreased and bioavailability will also decrease, right? So we cannot apply the same principles on both the things. Okay, another thing is that whenever we use the rejection word is applicable only when there is approved specification, right? When any material, any intermediate fails to comply with the specification which is already approved, then we can say that the material is rejected if it is not able to comply that specification. In case of the intermediates, it is applicable only when the intermediate is live for longer duration of the period, right? At least till testing, that intermediate should be live. It should be able to maintain its specification. It should able to remain in its specification. So the rejection word cannot be applied when we have to comply the any norms that it will be intermediate is. In case of intermediate, if there is a defined specification, then only it is applicable. At least intermediate should be live till the testing of that intermediate is going on. Okay, if intermediate is not stable for that period also, so we cannot apply this concept of rejection. Okay, when any material is rejected, just pasting the label of rejection do not suffice. So one should know that the material is not just rejected and it is not to be disposed when rejected label is pasted, but it should be clear that whether the material to be reprocessed or recovered or what is to be done with that material. Just in many companies, red label of rejection is placed on the container and to show that the product or material API is rejected, right? So one should know that we have pasted the rejected label. That does not mean that the product is to be destroyed. Okay, so that should be kept in the mind. But in SOP also it is to be specified that how to handle this rejected material. So this rejected material is not like that it is placed with the quarantine and after that it is like other products or other API or other intermediates which are waiting for the testing. Okay, so the status of that material should be clear, right? That is different thing that OS has happened with any material. So out of specification results have been obtained for some material and that material is waiting in the quarantine for the results that what is going to happen after that. But rejected material is somewhat different and that should be specified that how to handle that material. Okay, so it is not like other quarantine material and it should clearly specified on the label that it is not like other quarantine materials waiting for release. Okay, so that should be kept in mind. If you have the computer systems, then you should mention in computer system that the product is rejected and what next is to be done with that product, and in your SOP it should be clearly defined that how to handle that material. Another thing, it may be possible that for example any intermediate is rejected. So might be possible that that intermediate is rejected and you are going to reprocess or work on that intermediate, and once it obtained the level of complying the specification, then you are using that intermediate in your manufacturing process. In many cases this also happens that even the intermediate is rejected and it is used in the manufacturing process after when you get the final product. In that case, you find that whether the final product is complying the specification or not, and based on that testing you decide that what to be done with that rejected intermediate, right? So these are the different things, that whenever any intermediate is rejected, only rejection does not mean that the material is to be disposed, but keep in mind that whenever you are using these processes, means rework or reprocess or recovery, so these cases should be handled very carefully and strict compliance is to be monitored. So some later we will discuss those future episodes, but these things, if you are applying on your side, strict monitoring of compliance and strict regulations to be followed. Many times it will happen that you are using these reprocessing or rework processes, but you are not applying all the compliance practices on your side, then it is going to create a big non-compliance on your side. So whenever you are doing any reprocessing or rework or recovery of the solvent, so you should always keep in mind that strictly you will have to follow the compliance. So these were the today's blue ocean of compliance tips, and last episode we have discussed the return. In this episode we have discussed the rejection, and in coming episode we will be discussing another R's of which are important for our pharmaceutical industry. So Dr. Rupali Paranspe signing out until we meet again in our next blue ocean of tips. Do not forget to subscribe my YouTube channel and like my YouTube channel and share with your friends, so that they will also be able to get benefit from these discussions, because all these discussions I am doing based on the practical experiences and many things I have seen on the manufacturing sites. So based on that I discuss these things. These are very simple things, but when you apply it, it is going to help you attain the very good level of compliance on your side. And every week we will be discussing a new topic of compliance and basic compliance in blue ocean of compliance tips. Welcome to the Blue Ocean of Compliance Tips program. If you are working in pharmaceutical industry, irrespective of any department you are working, irrespective of any responsibility or any level you are working, the knowledge of audit and compliance is must. And next thing is that only having the knowledge is not sufficient. You should be able to implement the strategies and CGMP practices and your knowledge on your site. Okay, because if you are having a lot of knowledge but it is not reflected on your site, then it is difficult to qualify an regulatory inspection. So in Blue Ocean of Compliance Tips program, every week we discuss the CGMP practices which are mandatory to be followed to qualify the regulatory inspection effortlessly. So in previous sessions we have discussed the 5 R's of API manufacturing companies, which are very important for API manufacturing companies. By the way, if you are in formulation, then also it is very important. That might be possible that if you are having the knowledge of these concepts, then these are going to help you in the investigation to find out the root cause of any failure out of specification. So do not miss watching this episode till the end. I am Dr. Rupali Paranspe, best-selling author of book Blue Ocean of Compliance, and I am also the auditor, trainer and consultant for pharmaceutical industry. I associate with the companies to take the level of compliance to high, so that the companies can reduce or avoid the huge losses due to non-compliance, and they can qualify the regulatory inspections effortlessly. So as I have discussed that previously we have discussed the 5 hours. So out of those 5 hours in previous sessions we have discussed what is return, what is rejection, what is reprocessing of the material. So today's session I am going to discuss with you regarding the what is reworking of the material. Yeah, reworking of the material. Last session we have discussed the reprocessing, but reworking is different from reprocessing because in reprocessing we are performing the activities, we are treating the material or we are repeating the manufacturing steps which are already part of the approved procedure. But reworking is different from reprocessing. So today we are going to discuss that what is the reworking, why the reworking is performed. By the way, if the material is reworked material, so whether it is acceptable to test or analyze the material with already analytical methods which are used for the release of the, which are used to test the releasing of the material or which are already submitted to the regulatory authorities. We are also going to discuss that what should be done at the time of submission so that we will not have to file the prior approval supplement to release the reworked material. We are also going to discuss that whether the batches which are reworked batches, so validation is required for the reworked batches or not required, and what to be done so that the validation will not be required. We are also going to discuss that why the reworked material is to be analyzed with different analytical methods and what to be avoided to reduce the impurities in the reworked material. And there are many things we are going to discuss, but in the starting I am sharing with you these number of points. So what is reworked material? So whenever we are working in any industry, so there may be possibilities that many times the material is not complying with the specification, right? So like this in API manufacturing companies also, if any material is not complying with the already approved specification, so what is to be done with that material, whether the material is directly rejected or it is to be discarded. So there are some possibilities that this material is treated with some process, it is treated with some manufacturing procedures which might not be part of the already approved procedure, but we have to treat this material through those processes so that we will be able to obtain the material of required quality, right? So if we will repeat some manufacturing processes or we will do some treatment with that material, we will treat that material in such a way that the quality of the material, it may be intermediate, it may be API, it will be as per the required specification. So this is called the reworking of the material. Why reworking? Because whatever processes we are going to do on the intermediate or API, those processes are not the part of already approved processes. Means it is possible that those steps may not be part of the batch manufacturing record, right? So these processes or treatment may be different from what is already approved processes. So this is one thing, that in reworking of the material, so many reactions are to be repeated, right? So due to the repetition of the procedures, might be possible that the material which is reintroduced into the reactions, it is not the same material which was obtained from the previous processes, right? So the material is different. So this material is different. So we cannot treat this material as the normal material which we are getting in the normal manufacturing processes, right? So when we are doing some different treatment on intermediate or API, so there is possibility that some unknown impurities might be formed in that material. That is the reason the analytical method, which was validated previously to analyze the batches, cannot be used for the reworked batches. So the analytical method should be such that it will be able to identify any change in the material. It will be able to identify that whether the impurities which are formed in the reworked batches can be identified, quantified in that material. Okay, so that is the reason that what are analytical methods which are used for releasing the batches, means which is already submitted to the regulatory authorities, cannot be used to analyze the batches which are reworked. Okay, so another thing is that the material, as the material is different and we are repetition the some reactions, so in that process might be possible the level of impurity is changed, or might be possible that new impurities are formed, might be possible some degradation impurities are formed. So this is the reason why the reworked batches cannot be released without the approval of the regulatory authorities, to which we have already submitted the dossier or DMF, right? So that is the reason that whenever the reworking is performed, so reworked batches to be revalidated. Now if you want to avoid the concurrent validation, right, in that case concurrent validation is to be performed, and in case you want to avoid this validation, so what you can do, and you can do that at the time of submission. If you know that reworking is required or might be possible, reworking will have to be done on the batches. So what you can do that, you can at the time of submission itself you can declare and submit the regulatory authorities the detail of the reworking procedure with the proper justification and also data that this reworking of the material will not have the impact on the safety, quality and efficacy of the product. And based on the sufficient data, you can prove that reworking of the batches will be of the required quality which is required by the regulatory authority. So in that case, when you perform this reworking, so in that case you can directly perform the reworking without prior approval or pass prior approval supplement. So in this way, because you have already submitted the details to the regulatory authority, the prior approval submission is not required and you can rework the batch. Okay, now this was regarding the prior approval supplement and validating the batch. Another thing is that the specification which is used to release the material, means release specification, same specification cannot be used for the reworked batches. Why? Because reworked batches are different, right? It is not same as the material which was previously obtained for the regular batches. Okay, so if the material itself is different, so how the specification of that material will be same? It cannot be same. Okay, so one thing is to be kept in the mind that for reworked batches the specification will be also different. So specification will be different and you will have to analyze with different analytical method, okay, which will be able to identify any change, or it will be able to determine the exact potency of that drug or product or intermediate or API. Okay, so in this case reworked batches are to be treated differently than normal batches. Okay, and it is also different from reprocessed batches. Reprocessed batches we have already discussed in the previous session. So if you want, you can revisit that episode or rewatch that episode and you can conclude as per your understanding that how these two batches are different, reprocessed and reworked. Okay, so in this way the reworking of the material is different. Reworking can be done, but for assessment of the reworking batches are to be done in depth. Okay, only analyzing and declaring that to release the batch, it is not the case for the reworking of the material. These should be treated differently. Okay, so this was today's episode in which we have discussed that what are the reworked batches, why the same specification and same analytical method is not acceptable for the reworked batches, and if you want to avoid the pass, what should be done so that you will not have to take the prior approval from the regulatory authority to release the batch. Okay, so to reworked batches to be released after the approval of the regulatory authorities. Okay, so this was today's topic. If you liked this video, if you have learned even a small thing, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and also share the link with your friends so that they will also be able to learn from these sessions. And do not forget to read my book Blue Ocean of Compliance. After reading that book, your thinking process will totally change. You will start looking the things happening on your side totally differently, and might be possible you will be able to find the elements which are responsible for the non-compliance on your side, and you will easily remove those non-compliances from your side, and you will able to change the thought process of the people who are creating continuous non-compliance on your side. And this way this book may be magical for you, but yes, you have to reread that book, because first time reading might be possible you will not get what it is really able to deliver you. In second and third time when you will read this book, then you will come to know that how you can change the way you handle the non-compliance on your side, and how you can change the people also on your side. Okay, so do not forget to read my book Blue Ocean of Compliance. By the way, it is I have written to help all the pharmaceutical industry people and pharma companies.
Hello Blue Ocean of Compliance readers, I am there in Goa. I have come for the event by Passion Vista magazine. I am featured in that global 50 women to look up in 2023. So I am enjoying the beach, and our book's name is also Blue Ocean of Compliance. And so that's why I remembered all the readers of my book. I thought that I should speak with them, that it's compliance is like this ocean, because it is endless, and different areas of pharma industries are having the different rules and regulations of compliance, So what message I wanted to give to all the readers, that never take compliance as burden. If you should love it, you should be passionate to follow the compliance, because after all we are serving the society, we are working for the humans, you are serving the mankind. So there is nothing to take tension or stress or burden of compliance. Compliance should be in our habit, compliance should be our life. Means we have to live the compliance, we have to eat compliance, we have to breathe compliance. So it will never be a burden for all of you. We should be passionate to work in this field. Everyone is not that much lucky to work for the compliance, and you are working for the compliance, you are working for the quality. So we should be very happy to follow the compliance rules and regulations, and ensuring that everyone is following the compliance. So by the way, how do you read the book? Means only read the chapters and then close the book and keep it aside. So that is not the way of reading the book. You should read all the chapters, and you should read the chapters, and after that at the end of the chapter exercises are given. So those exercises are also to be completed. In that exercises I have given the task. So if you will complete those tasks, then what will happen, that on your site you will be reaching to the next level of compliance, and that work will be over, and you will be able to apply the principles in your site also, and you will face some challenges. So you will be solving those challenges also. In that way, that journey will be more interesting, and you will enjoy reading the book. So that's why I have given the exercises to do at the end of the chapter. And another thing is that I have met many readers in one of the conference so in Mumbai. So I was discussing few points with them that this should be done. Means I was talking about the thought process, and they told that yes ma'am, I have read your book. So that moment was so amazing, because I was not knowing the person has read the book, and I was discussing with him, and I have seen many readers applying those principles, sharing the knowledge, and sharing the post on LinkedIn, and making the trends and comparative studies, and it is being circulated all across the pharma industry. So I'm happy that you all are not only reading but applying the principle also. So keep reading this book like this only. And compliance is like ocean. So like we enjoy the seashore, we enjoy the ocean, right? So similarly you also enjoy the journey of blue ocean of compliance, yeah, right? So all the best for the journey, and continue this journey. It is not having any destination, but you have to enjoy the journey, and keep applying the principles, and work for the humans, for the society, and be passionate about it. So all the best. Dr. Rupali Paranspe signing out until we meet again. Bye. Thank you.
copy on Amazon? No? Then please do not miss to order this book, and as this book is going to be very helpful in your career, in your regulatory and quality and regulatory inspection. Everywhere it is going to help you, and it is going to equip with you a different and innovative thought process, that you will be able to take the decisions on your own, and it will going to tell you about why the inspections are happening, what are the regulatory inspection and enforcement actions, what are the regulatory enforcement actions, and why the non-compliances are there on the site, and how you can solve the problem of non-compliance. So do not miss to read this book, because what problems I was facing when I was during my initial days, so I thought that other people should not suffer the same way, so that's why I have written this book to help all the people. And if by reading you or any company is going to be benefited, then it will be really a great achievement for me, because the success of my book lies in your success, that how you are going to be benefited by applying the principles written in this book on your site. And I really want that your site qualify the regulatory inspection with no observation, yes, with 0483. So do not miss to read this book and book your copy today. And don't forget to write me that what are the experiences and how this book has helped you to achieve success, or success on your side. The success should not be a very great, a big success is not only the success, but the small things in which you have got the success, like to solve this some small non-compliances problem also, that is also the great success. So we should not forget to celebrate even a small success in our life, because small success only when they unite, they become the history of a very big achievement. So do not miss to read this book and book your copy today. Thank you.